In 2020. Oh, he qualified.
What's that?
Qualified for the February the date.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, Yang Gang all the way. By the way, so like this is on the hashtag coffee channel. Every once in a while I'm going to be doing cryptocurrency standalone podcasts. I'm super excited about this particular one because we got my friend Jacques on, who created the Discussions app with his team. That basically the EOS.discussions.app, the original iteration of it, I guess it was in sort of beta at the time, was basically the only way that I could get Schipul off the ground because of the core ideas that they were using. And they've since fleshed those things out to make it a massive community tool for cryptocurrency communities. And we're really, really excited to be talking about it today. And it's the freaking launch out of beta day. Jacques, how the hell are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Corey, for having me on. I'm super excited. A little bit nervous, to be honest, because it's only our second product launch. So we still like trying to put out bugs here and there.
Right.
Seems to be okay at the moment. So I'm happy about that.
Cool. And we're gonna have some guests on later that I'm super excited about. You've lined up some partners that are gonna be using the platform for their communities. We'll be talking about those pretty soon. But you're saying you wanted to kind of show off some of the features, like you want to, like, and I know we just talked about this on coffee, but I'd love to start right off the bat from the beginning. Tell us about how Discussions.app came about, the reasons why you're building the kind of thing you're building, and then maybe we can get into some of the details and features.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been telling people that Discussions is built with love, but out of frustration.
Right.
So we started as a project with our own community. We were using a lot of different, social media platforms like Discord, Twitter, Telegram, blah, 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 you name it. And all these platforms were kind of missing features that we would really like as a token community, like being able to tip people, being able to hire people to do social media work without tokens, and just kind of keep the community engaged in general. So we were looking for different solutions, and we tried different tip bots, which was okay, but the whole system was just kind of clunky and not really efficient. And on top of that, the EOS account system, which made it really hard for people who are interested in our project to actually participate because they have to get an EOS account first.
Right.
So we look at all these problems like, okay, how can we make this easier for our token holders? How can we make this less painful? And then that's when we built Discussions. And we've been around for a year now. We hosted a lot of AMAs with block producers, with different projects. AMAs, Ask Me Anything. So basically like community events.
Right.
And learn a lot of the things that we think will be great for communities to have. And so we built those out, and here we have Discussions too. And it's beautiful, it's smooth, and it doesn't feel like a blockchain application, which I think should be the way to go. People shouldn't know that they're using a blockchain application. They should know that I have this thing, here's its purpose, and it works.
Yeah, that we have been. I mean, you and I have been talking about that behind the scenes. I talk about that nonstop with Kurt and Fred. Kurt from Chirp, Fred from LinkChain. About we are constantly concerned about adoption. People understanding the benefits of being able to enable a blockchain technology and the things that are underlying that. And I actually want to dig in later to something you said on the show before. We might not be able to tell me we can't talk about that. It's just a secret, but I'm super excited about it because it has its deep implications, right? But you want the idea that it's a blockchain thing to disappear. You can't be worried about RAM or CPU or all this freaking nonsense. People aren't used to buying accounts. So you guys have actually done something about that as well. So where, people can go to discussions.app right now and sign up for an account, and it's free, right?
Yeah, it's free. Everything's free. You just sign up and you start using it right away. You just start posting, commenting, and then I could start giving out tips. And actually, one of the things I want to do, show you live, is I know, Corey, you haven't played with the airdrop system, but I want to show you just how amazing it is.
I do want to see this because, again, just for anybody that doesn't know, I created Schipul last year, and I'm not a dev, right? Like I read a bunch of articles and figured out how to get EOS.io working, and it took me about 9 million times longer than everybody else. Seriously, I have no idea what I'm doing whatsoever, but I really wanted to see if I could do it, so I did it. And then, okay, well, I want to airdrop to 1,000 people, and it was literally going to have to be transaction by transaction by transaction because I have no clue what I'm doing. And what I managed to figure out, though, is using the beta of discussions, I could leave like 250 tips at a time, right? So basically taking what would take me a week and a half down to like 20 minutes. And they've since actually embedded those kind of tools into what they're actually doing for communities like mine. Want to launch a token, you don't necessarily know freaking, coding, rocket science or whatever. You're still going to be able to use those things. So yes, please show me that. And I'm going to end up using it a lot.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to just share with you my screen.
All right.
So let me do that on desktop one. 1 second.
It's where like the background music would be going down. All right.
I will have to quit and come back.
Okay.
All right. So just give me a second.
Yeah. All right. While he's doing that, I can't even tell you how much time that spent. That saved me, and the fact that it's actually going to be embedded in the thing now, I think is going to be really incredible. It's going to be really good. So we'll just wait to see for him to get back over here. Should probably just share this out on Twitter, huh? Boop, boop, boop. All right, and he's back.
And I'm back.
All righty.
Show you my desktop.
Perfect.
Here we are. We got the Zoom screen. Let me find.
That's so meta.
Yeah, I know. So here you see a spreadsheet. I actually do a newsletter, weekly newsletter. And one of the things that we could do now, is possible now, is that we, with the help of MailChimp and the airdrop feature, we can actually reward our users, readers with tokens. So that's something, before the airdrop tool was available, we couldn't do, which is kind of like, oh, people read it, but how do we pay them? How do we tip them?
Right.
But now we can just copy and paste. So copy, paste. And I head to our, sorry, I have so many tabs open.
Right.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I should really cut down on.
Yeah, we all keep saying that. It's probably never going to happen.
Yeah.
There's too much information coming at us too quickly. Maybe when we have an AI that like, hey, you don't actually need this one, so I'm going to put this one over there, but it's with.
So I'm just gonna. So I'll just go to my connections. I'm gonna disconnect and reconnect just because sometimes.
Sure. And as an admin, right? Because like people don't need an account to get tips, but to do this kind of thing, you need to be attached to an EOS wallet, like
exactly.
Right until you guys launch multi-chain or whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
We're gonna do a lot of things that make onboarding into EOS even easier.
Cool.
Because like that's kind of our end goal. So you have your EOS account and you could explore different tokens and applications.
Right.
It's one of the gateway. So here's the airdrop. Just copy paste. I'm gonna select my Atmos token. I'm gonna give everyone 100 Atmos, and then fast airdrop. Explanation part. Airdrop, and that should generate a transaction, which you will see in just a bit from Scatter.
And so like just for a little context, like I used to have to make a comment or make a post and then go into the comments, and in the comment I would have to I set up a spreadsheet so that it would be the language of a tip, right? So tip XYZ shipple to account name, right? And then I had to make sure that it was every single one of those had a comma in between them. And if any one of the addresses was wrong, it would basically pull it back and not tell me what address it was, and it wouldn't work. Which it took a long time. Even the easy way took a long time. And so like watching this happen right now is really good.
It's done. The whole process takes about half a minute.
Wow.
And that's it. That's the airdrop. That's done. And you mentioned that you're not a coder, and
right.
This is what we want to open our system to, which is you shouldn't be able to be a coder in order to do things like community management, right? The time of your program is better devoted to other stuff.
Right.
You shouldn't be writing script to do airdrop. And if you do want to do airdrop and you hire a person to do it, it's 500 EOS. That's an insane amount of money.
Right. For like a basic airdrop. Yeah. Have you guys tested the max that system can handle?
250 for now.
Oh, it's still 250? I'm cool with it. That's fine.
We're working on the ways to make it by the end of February, you should be able to drop as many as you want.
That's
right now,
right. It's right. So like just upload your spreadsheet or whatever.
yeah, exactly.
How does it handle failed accounts?
You mean inaccurate accounts or failed transactions?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Like
it
like
would,
if there's a typo or whatever.
yeah, so it would tell you now. So it would just be highlighted in red, and you could just remove it. So
I'm telling you, man. Again, like it went from a week and a half. So like I will never besmirch the beta of Discussions app because it saved me 18 million years of time. And it was the only reason we could actually do it at all. But yeah, there was a lot of time going like painstakingly through blocks of 10 to isolate the block of 10 that had the wrong one. Anyways, the whole thing. So that's a coup for goodness right there.
and we're working on a lot of exciting stuff, which is a good transition because we're working on an ambassador program with our next partner that I'm going to bring on. I'm going to ping him now.
All right.
A block base, and we're going to make it so that you could actually run custom contests on Twitter, and it'll be very easy. It'll be just be as easy as doing your job.
Right. And again, just because it was our experience, like everybody in the shipbook community understands that because that's all we did. And we were doing it on Facebook, and it was not integrated. It was not efficient in any way, shape, or form. We used people power for it. So I'm excited to hear about this because this is going to be a thing that I mean, I already know like a dozen cryptocurrency communities that are doing the same kinds of things as us, are going to be able to use those tools for sure. All right.
I'll just ping him. He should be jumping on any second. He's gonna be on with his partner, CTO.
Okay. Awesome.
Just to give you a bit of context, again, Blockbase is out of Lisbon. Is Ricardo and Diego, and they're working actually within a bigger company. And the Blockbase is a collaboration between Agaptu, the larger IT company, and the Portuguese government, as well as the European Union. So
awesome.
Sure
It's blockbase.network on Twitter.
Yes.
All right.
Ricardo.
Ricardo, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good. What time is it where you are?
Here it's 4:40.
Oh, okay. So not morning. Good morning.
Yeah.
Or a good day, good time at it, whatever time it is.
It's afternoon T10. That's what it is.
Global conversations are the best. Thank you guys very much for joining us for the Discussions.app launch. Jacques been telling me a little bit about what you guys are doing, but if you could, please let us know, what you guys are up to and how that might be tying into the Discussions Ambassador Program.
Okay, so we're doing Blockbase. Blockbase is a platform for the secure storage of databases on blockchain. So we're leveraging the blockchain technology to give more security to traditional databases. Because when you've got a traditional database, you've got a security problem, right?
Okay.
So you have to add a lot of layers of security to your database in order to protect your data. But if you look at it, the security you add is always controlled by a central party. So it's not a real security. It's like a fake security. If you wanted to have like Bitcoin on a system like that, it would be completely hacked by the guys who are controlling the security. So Blockbase is a platform for the storage of databases that require this type of security, that require another level of security, where it's not possible to change the data in benefit for someone who has power or access or so forth to those databases. So that's the concept. And this is related to discussions mostly on the ambassador program specifically. Okay, so Blockbase by itself is not related to discussions, at least at the moment.
Okay, Jacques, maybe talk a little bit about the ambassador program and how how it is connected to what Blockbase is doing.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to do, the ambassador program is just something where it was a system they were developing for their own project. And then obviously we both live in Lisbon. We had lunch together, and I say, well, Ricardo, if you open this up, the whole cryptocurrency community is gonna love it. You know, if you
Can
generalize,
confirm, by the way.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what they were building is they were putting in, they will have an ambassador program where ambassadors sign up and they would pull in their social media feed. There would be certain keywords that, obviously for block-based would be hashtag BBT, that's their token symbol.
Okay.
And people would just tweet about it, they go do their thing, promote it. And they would generate, block-based would have a service that pull in the tweets and analyze them. How many likes did it get? How many retweets did it get? And would calculate all that to a score, and they would pay out the ambassadors based on that score. So that's what they
Yeah.
were doing. They weren't planning to have some fancy web interface to it or whatever. So I thought it was a great fit to what we're doing, which is, we're building community tools. So I was
Yep.
like, hey, why don't we provide the front end for this service, and we could open up for every single token project in the space, including yours, including Shipple,
Yeah.
and it would be perfect fit, and everything would just be managed through the unified ID that we're developing. Again, you could, with the system they had before, you had to have an EOS account. With the help of the account system we developed, you don't need an EOS account. You just need to have a discussions account, which is free, and you don't have to worry about RAM. You don't have to worry about CPU. Just sign up, say I want to be a part of the ambassador program, and you could start tweeting and posting away.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I mean, we were running, we just called them missions with Shipple, that we were just doing it all manually, and having having something that, behind the scenes is going to sort of calculate. And it sounds like it's kind of calculating a reach score, right? Like number of retweets, and maybe even that. Are you guys calculating the amount of reach that any one particular person has? Is that one of the metrics you guys are looking at?
Yeah, so from the technical standpoint, there are limitations to the APIs that are provided by the various platforms that we are analyzing.
Okay.
Depending on some APIs have like a paid subscription, and with that you can get more reach. But yeah, with the APIs we're testing right now, we can get, for example, for Twitter, we can get the tweets and the retweets and the I think likes. We cannot get the likes, but the tweets and the retweets, you can get it. And
Okay.
we also can get the information of who retweeted, so if it's an important person or not. So with all that information, we can pretty easily do an algorithm that will tell you like a score.
Yeah.
Of how that ambassador is working for your project. And instead of the owner of the project like counting the number of tweets and retweets and so forth and working on that, it's done.
Yeah. So, I've literally done that, which is deeply inefficient. One of the things, and I'm sure you guys are thinking about this already. One of the, I have been posting on Chirp, which is Kurt's thing he's building on Links Chain. And when they created a leaderboard, everything blew up. Not that I'm like number one on the leaderboard, but I totally am. But like everybody's having a lot of fun with it. But I could almost envision like per mission, right? Per post, and getting the scores, the retweets, that kind of thing. Maybe organizing the people that are getting, that are working through that ambassador program, that are actually doing that kind of thing in a comment section, ranking them right underneath that post, maybe, so that people can actually see where they're at and then be in, like a friendly competition amongst themselves as far as who's going to get the top spot. Because then you could turn around and maybe give a little bit more to the top one or top three or whatever.
Yeah, that's
an idea.
Sorry, just throwing stuff out, because I had like a visceral idiotic reaction to the leaderboard. Like, am I getting anything from being on the leaderboard? No. But am I working to make sure I stay on number one? Yes. Right. It's goofy, but people are having a lot of fun with it, and it's like a way that they're connecting with it that's been super fun.
There's one thing that we have to worry about is when people try to abuse this system, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess that there will always have to be some manual validation,
right?
That like someone isn't spamming tweets and putting like that,
it's not like a bot or whatever,
discussions or another project or so forth.
Yeah,
and getting all the points. So, but it can, if it looks all right to you, then you can calculate have the value calculated for you very quickly.
Right. Well, and you could almost have moderators that, like one of the things that Lynx did is they had a situation that was the Wild West as far as their referral program initially. There were groups that got a hold of that and went, hog wild. And, of course, even with the telephone number validation thing, it just went crazy. Right. And they ended up stopping that and basically started one by one validating actual referral partners. So they basically have control over who has access to that mechanism. Then, so maybe you moderate people. So if you notice somebody that is clearly getting all these points from bots, you could be like, yeah, you're out, or have a set of rules, right? You can moderate those people or whatever. But I obviously, I'm super excited about what you guys are doing with this, because this is something that, having never, built a cryptocurrency or done any of that, we just made Shipple for fun. The amount of energy that got just welled up in normal average people who wanted to get this cryptocurrency that is utterly pointless, and we say that all the time, right? Was incredible, right? So to be able to have that for projects like yours and like Discussions that are actually building stuff it's gonna be good.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of building stuff, we are gonna have a more in-depth AMA with Blockbase in the coming week. Obviously, they're doing a lot of exciting stuff.
Yeah.
With this, partnership set up and with the ambassador coming, it's a good idea for any of you who are interested in, learning about Hikaru's project, private databases on the blockchain, on the EOS network, to learn about it, to ask them about it. Obviously, they have an ambassador program open afterwards, and they're going to be distributing a lot of tokens through that. So
That's
anything
awesome.
you want to know about the project, be sure to hit up their hashtag. And their hashtag on Discussion is #BBT, which is their token on Discussions, and you could definitely find them on new decks as well. We talk a little bit about exchange integration, so we might be doing something that integrates exchanges.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting. So, Ricardo, with what you guys are doing, who is your target audience right now? Like, who are the organizations that really need what you guys are doing?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So, the easiest answer is any organization that has data that is important. This is basically the best answer I can give you, but I can go into details. So, for example, you've got a company that has very important financial information that can be manipulated to the benefit of people, right? You want to put that information on Blockbase because it's impossible to manipulate information without everybody knowing it.
Right.
For example, for medical information or medical supply of medical supplies. So a company contacted us some weeks ago, and they were very interested in using blockchain for their new solution. And they are suppliers of medical instruments, right? Mm-hmm. So they basically buy medical instruments and then distribute it to pharmacies and to hospitals and so forth. And why do they need blockchain? This comes from the government level. So the government is pushing blockchain. And the reason is when you've got a problem with a medical device, like a syringe or something like that, and someone dies, you've got a big problem. And you want to find out who was responsible for that.
Right.
The ones who are responsible for that, if they have access to the data, they will try to hide it, right? So you want to have transparency on those types of situations. So any situation that you need transparency of the data and you want to prevent that it's manipulated, you want to have Blockbase.
Yeah.
Another simple example. So the first company I worked for, in fact, like 12 or 13 years ago as an intern, they held the database of all the traffic ticketing in Lisbon, right? So every time a guy from the company, small company at the time, every time the guy from the company got a ticket, they would just delete it from the database, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about. Yeah, and this happens at the smallest levels and at the biggest levels.
Right.
Also a case here of an ex-prime minister that was being trialed. And just before he went to court, all the data that was stored on computer systems just disappeared, right?
You know what, this reminds a couple things. So I was just listening to a TED talk from one of the people in the Estonian government, because they do the whole digital government, whatever. And they were the first time I've heard somebody in a government talk about the fact that they have literally all their government data on blockchain for every reason that you just stated, right? So the benefits of that are super, super clear. You want that to be able to be immutable, and they could even fix it so that it's got the sort of public-private kind of access that the Bitcoin has, for example, for different things. Anyway, the other thing is voting, right? Like right now, in Georgia, as an example, I'm in the United States right now. They knocked 400,000 people off the rolls because for fun, and they were mostly Democrats, right? And Republicans did it. And so you would actually be able to figure out who had access to that, who did it, right? Like that, the idea that we could be putting voting rolls and actually doing voting itself on the blockchain is something that I'm personally fascinated with. And I think for every reason that you just dictated, right? So many people have a vested interest to mess with those things for political gain. And then of course, for financial gain. Is that something that you guys are looking at all?
Yeah. So one of the first use cases I read about for the blockchain besides crypto was voting.
Right.
And this was in 2015 or 2000, about that time, when people were migrating out of just crypto and to other use cases. And also Ethereum was getting a lot of very popular. And so you could definitely do voting on block-based. The beauty of the system is that you can have any type of database on it, any type of data structure that you want to build, right? So you can have voting, you can have user registrations, you can have medical data, you can have accounting, you can have your business on blockchain. So that's the key point of it. You can adapt it to any need you want. Yeah,
that having that as a core functionality, and I like that you guys are keeping it that simple so that it can then branch out and really apply itself to all of these things. So what are you guys doing with the tokens? You said it was BBT is your token right now. And obviously, I urge people to go to Discussions.app. I'm sure you guys are going to have a section in there where we can sort of keep an eye on you guys and that kind of thing. What's happening with your token and where can people should get it and why would they want to get it?
So
you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So they would want to get it because they need the token to use our platform.
Okay.
So that's the main plan right now.
Okay.
Right now they can get it from our airdrops. We're still distributing the token, and we plan to distribute it for a long time still. So anyone that wants to join right now, they can just go to our website and follow the instructions to join our airdrop.
Okay. What is your guys' website?
Blockbase.network.
Okay. I'll throw that in the show notes so people will be able to go and check that out.
Sure.
Awesome. Okay. Jacques, do you have any other? Is there anything we're missing that we should talk about with this stuff?
No, I think they cover. I mean, it's their project, so they have.
Yeah, right. Well, and to you guys as well. Is there anything else you want to leave with our audience?
So I just like to say that we're starting to test our platform on JungleNet right now. So we're on a public testnet.
Okay.
Our code is available on GitHub. So anyone that wants to join and try the platform out, they can just leave a message on our Telegram, and we'll be sure to help anyone that wants to join.
Awesome. That's great, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having
me. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So yeah, Jacques, like for even for these guys, like it's a situation where they're going to be able to do airdrops in like in line on discussions, right?
Yeah. So Diego mentioned the airdrops that they're doing. One of the things about, and I think you should definitely go check out the airdrop.
Right.
But you do need an EOS account, and the second rule is you need to have an EOS account that's 1 month old.
Okay.
So air grab is for, people who already been in the EOS ecosystem. They want to be part of it, because it's kind of one of the benefits of having EOS account, which is you just get these airdrops to you.
Right.
If you're someone who is completely new to EOS, you heard about Ricardo's project firsthand from this podcast or elsewhere, and you want to participate, hit up Discussions. We're going to have all the information about Blockbase on there, and then they're going to be answering questions about their project. There'll be tipping. Tipping is enabled. BBT is one of our supported tokens. So you will get your hands on BBT very easily. So.
Awesome. So yeah, we've got some other guests coming in before too long here, right?
So we're gonna have Carlos in about another 9 minutes, he said.
Oh, 9 minutes. All right, cool. All right. Well, we got more time. What's up? Thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. I think what you guys are doing is potentially world changing, which is fun.
Yeah, that's our plan. That's
all right.
What we want to do. Okay,
get after it. Yeah, I mean, it's such a platitude, right? Yeah, we're gonna make the world a better place. I honestly believe that you guys could actually do it, and discussions as well, which is why I freaking love talking to people like you guys. So that's fun for me. So I want to talk about the thing that I'm not sure we're allowed to talk about, Jock. Can we just talk about it? Can we just do it? Rip the bandage off. So I mean, we're
taking out your cues. So
well, no,
we build the airdrop, so we build the airdrop. So
I guess well, there you go. Well, there's that. So when we were doing hashtag coffee, last hour, we were talking about the fact that you can have, especially with the ambassadors program, specific missions posts and that kind of thing, right? Yeah. And I was asking you about integrating with exchanges. Again, if you get your hands on an airdrop, or if you want to buy some Shipple, or if you want to buy some BBT or whatever like that, having that as a secondary thing is a layer of friction, right? Like I constantly think of how is Sue Gentry, who is one of the best shipplers on the face of the earth, is like a meme creator, and a grandmother and an artist, and but she's just like a regular person, doesn't know cryptocurrency from anything, right? What is the likelihood that she'll be able to use a system and get a hold of tokens and that kind of thing? So I was thinking about that in terms of whether there might be some Nudex connection, or whether you guys might kind of build your own or whatever. And you said something deeply fascinating, right? Mm-hmm. That you could have a comment, and I think you were talking about a Reddit where you can upvote, downvote stuff or whatever. And I think even on Steam, you can kind of do that kind of thing as well. Again, Kurt is building that where you get paid for likes. So there's this thing where there's a because you can do micropayments and different things, you can have sort of real world cryptocurrency financial attachment to reactions to posts and stuff, which is really interesting. But you said something that literally blew my mind and might end up being profound, frankly. Like, so you see any piece of information whatsoever, you could basically buy the token or sell the token. So as a trader, I would think you're going long or you're going short, right? That to me that's the whole market in microcosm, but it would be like actually built in to the platform, so it could be part of actual posts themselves.
Yeah. So one of the things that, well, actually the idea stemmed from BP voting. It was, I was talking to a lot of BPs, talking to, just trying to understand what they need. And
right.
One of the things I heard was like, we don't really know if what we're building is valuable, if the information, we're putting out is valuable.
Right.
And it would be great to see, how much our votes fluctuate with a piece of information we put out. Let's say we updated our system or whatever. So if you could have like a voting that tracks that voting statistics to that piece of information, that would be valuable to them. But then, obviously I always try to generalize it so that more people could take advantage of that fact. I was
right.
like, okay, well, if you're a token community, you don't really care about the votes. What you care about is the price of your token and how many people are buying and selling it. And you don't know if you're taking your project the right direction if you don't know which piece of information is impacting your token price. So that's where the idea came from. So the idea is basically, let's say I put out a post, Discussions 2 is launching today. That's the post. At the very end of it, there'll be an option. Do you want to buy Atmos or do you want to sell Atmos based on this piece of information?
Right.
Well, I'm assuming the reaction is positive. People want to buy in, because
well, and it's actual skin in the game, right? And I'm sure, like in the United States, we're never going to be able to get that because FinCEN rules are stupid. But I think it's where all of this is going, whether the U.S. keeps up or not, right? So that's really, really compelling. So we got Carlos on from Metal Packaging Token. I've been excited to talk to you. We actually mentioned what you're doing on our morning show on #Coffee on this channel. And my buddy Greg, who had never heard of you, like literally was like, what? He was very, very excited. So, so if you could, please fill us in on what you guys are doing, within, what are you guys up to? What are you guys building?
Well, hi guys. Hi, Corey. Hi,
Hello.
Jacques, first of all. Yeah, well, we started this adventure. I believe it's already been 2 years. In crypto world, that's really a lot. Yeah, myself and my the co-founder of the project, Peter, we're coming from the metal packaging sector. So we have been in this field of work for about, in my case, for about 20 years, and Peter is 60 years old, so he's already 40 years into the can making business.
Right.
So yeah, we generated some interest in blockchain, and we thought to combine these two worlds, where basically nowadays it's a very hot topic. It was when we started. I think it's even more now today. The whole recycling thing is super hot, and basically what we're offering is a tool to measure. It's two things, but blockchain helps with measuring the recycling rates that brand owners, as I call them, so that's the Pepsis and the Cokes of this world, can put out there, and it would be immutable, and it would be correct, because a lot of large enterprises that are in the food sector or in the paint sector or in the chemistry sector, or even in the cosmetics sector, are saying a lot of things, but it's really, it can't be measured without blockchain. So that was the basis, and we designed, and that's a very strange thing in blockchain world, because it's a physical machine, right? So
right.
But nonetheless, we have done that, and it's a sort of a how do you call that? A reverse vending machine, where you put metal cans in, and you are rewarded for doing so. That's the basic idea, and you are rewarded in our native token, obviously.
Right. Yeah, that's so my co-host Greg was just astounded by that, because he's was ignoring cryptocurrency for years. I've been trying to tell him for 3 years, and we created Chipple again, like mostly as a joke. I love the fact that Doge is behind everything that I'm saying, like with the Jacques there, because that's really like it started as a joke, but it quickly became this community and all these things or whatever, and people were learning about it. And now seeing his reaction this morning was really rewarding, because the cryptocurrency he kind of got, and he really got what you're doing. The idea that there could be this immediate payment in cryptocurrency, in a wallet that he kind of now understands or whatever, by throwing cans into a machine. Just that concept itself, I feel like could spawn a whole new kind of range of things, where you have an interaction, with a common good or anything in society, really, that could kind of automatically just refer back to an actual kind of payment back to the user.
Well, Corey, people tend to forget that it's basically, we're talking about a commodity, because metal cans are made out of obviously metal, so it's tin plate or aluminium, and this is worth money.
Right.
People in well, developing countries are, you see them on the streets collecting without crypto, collecting this and bringing it over to I don't know, a hardware store or whatever, where they can meld it or whatever they're doing, and they're getting 20 cents per kilo or something like that.
Mhm.
So this is basically a formula that it can generate the reward. And what's very important is that the reward, even though it's in NPT or a native currency, but it can be, of course, instantly exchanged towards whatever you want, right? So that's the whole concept.
Right.
So even in countries, and believe me, there are a lot of countries where there's practically no access to the dollar, to the US dollar or to the
Right.
euro, or any of the main fiat currencies around. Basically, you can have access to even governments can have access to the US dollar by recycling metal.
Yeah.
And as soon as people start to well, to understand this mechanism, yeah, it can be huge. It really can be huge.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree.
Add to that, you know, as the people are paying more attention to climate warming, you know, climate change, there's actually a huge shift towards using metal packaging. But you know, I saw a video the other day. I think it was put out by MSNBC. Is that the biggest value in using metal is not just using the metal, because the extraction of the metal from the ground is actually very carbon intensive.
Yeah.
The value comes from actually recycling it and reusing it. So I think, you know, what Carlos is doing here is actually really great for the environment. And it's, you know, he's kind of at the right time too, because of this monumental shift of the companies looking into, you know, using more metal packaging and reusing more metal packaging.
Yeah. It's almost like any large employer or what have you would almost do well to be throwing one of these machines in their facility. Like, and that's, you put them next to any non-reverse vending machine, right?
Yeah, of course. That's the whole idea. We think that emerging economies or developing countries will be probably the first targets to be hit by us, because of the fact that, well, it can mean something more than just a mentality switch for people to be greener than we used to be 10 years ago or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
And that's yeah, well, a reward is incentivizes and creates awareness. At least that's what we wanted to do. But it's I also wanted to talk about look, this whole project, or whatever project, and that's why I'm so enthusiastic about this launch that you're organizing here today. Easy access for the non-crypto person, the average Joe, is everything. Is
Yes.
absolutely everything. We cannot talk about mass adoption of any project without that being a reality.
Yep. Yeah, we talk about that constantly, and we have to, right? That the amount of friction that I mean, well, especially that we've been experiencing on EOS recently, but on almost every cryptocurrency before that, it's a barrier that most people won't cross, right? So to have discussions launching the way that it's launching, specifically so that projects like yours and like future projects of mine, I've got a few slated where I want to tokenize a few different communities. it's going to be absolutely critical that you can just go in, you can sign up, you don't need to buy an EOS account, you don't need any RAM, you don't need a CPU. You're just going to be able to receive these airdrops. And one of the things, the features that Jacques was talking about, eventually, until they go multi-chain, you're still going to need to buy an EOS account eventually to pull it off the site or whatever. But they're going to set it up so that they could actually accrue enough. It's MPT is the token, Carlos. Yeah. So they could accrue enough MPT token to then afford it, and then that could be seamless in the app. So it's like even removing that layer of friction, right? And then you can move it off, and whether you want to get Ethereum or Bitcoin or EOS or whatever it is, you'll be able to go and do that. So that's fun.
I think it's great. What I think this multi-chain situation that they're launching here today, without look, the EOSIO basically contract formula, as I call it, is of course a good form because of its scalability possibilities and et cetera, et cetera. So they're using that. Discussions is using that without the flaws. So I'm very enthusiastic about their approach, and it's basically what we need. Well, of course, we're not going to talk about the congestion things that has been happening for the last couple of months already. But yeah, we have been struggling in that, thinking about that, because without that, with these congestion possibilities, it's not going to work, and you don't want to launch a product when it is not watertight.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that killed the Shibboleth community was in the thousands of comments, likes, posts, shares a day for a while. Yeah. And the CPU issue just literally killed it, destroyed it completely. Because if we can't reward anyone, or if people have to figure out how to get CPU and like do freaking robot surgery on a freaking server, they're not gonna be able to, it's not gonna work. So it's fantastic that they created the second layer so that we could actually at least reward our people, whenever we want to. And of course, Jacques, you were saying that people with free accounts are going to be able to tip and send the various tokens back and forth amongst themselves.
Yeah. Once you have the Unify ID, using it is going to be a lot like using Bitcoin.
Okay.
There's this tiny transaction fee involved. I think it's 0.1%, the way you said it. But it's in the form of the token you're transacting.
Yeah, so that's the thing. They're not going to have to worry about CPU or whatever. It'll just take that a little bit of that token, which honestly that's a tiny inconsequential amount. It still just makes it usable, because that to Carlos's point, like if these platforms are suddenly completely unusable for our communities, it could be a death sentence, which is crazy. So I'm also really, really excited that you guys are decided to go multi-chain as well. I was actually talking to a few people. I don't know if this is possible, but having a token potentially just be able to get mirrored onto different things to diversify off, just in case that happens again. But I mean, I think you guys have kind of solved it though, right? I mean, that we shouldn't have to worry about it ever again.
Yeah, we solved it for our token, but I think if there is enough interest, like all things, that we will open our system for all the projects and partners to take advantage of. So just to very briefly describe it, when we want to say go multi-chain, it's not having our token contract on multiple chains.
Yeah.
So it's keeping track of our tokens on multiple blockchains. And then that's what the second layer is. That's like a special, you could almost call it selective history node, like where you take a little bit from EOS, you take a little bit from Telos, and it's keeping track of all that. And it's decentralized because we will actually start rewarding people for running these nodes and keeping it decentralized. So.
All right.
So that's the system we're developing for Atmos. Obviously, we haven't tested extensively yet. So we will have to try that out before, we let other people come in.
But that's that's the direction that it's going. Because again, the platform itself is designed around serving communities like metal packaging token, where again, like the goal would be to have tens of thousands of people in third world countries, bringing metal cans back and getting metal packaging token and using Discussions to have that free place to receive it and communicate and that kind of thing, right?
And
Yeah.
just to
interrupt, Jack. We're looking into implementing this layer into our prototype for now, into our MPT deposit point.
Okay.
So we're looking into that. And I hope it works. And the team is very enthusiastic up until now.
All right.
So that would be great.
Yeah, Jacques.
Yeah, so no, like Carlos said, we're really excited to integrate our solution into their machine as well. Just because, again, it just takes that friction, just lowers it. Because again, if you just sign up for discussion ID, you don't worry about CPU, you don't worry about RAM, you deposit a can, and automatically, just like that, you get your tokens, and then you could do with it whatever you want. And because maybe I think there is a social element to this. And I think I'm spewing idea on live, and please don't hold me accountable to it. Is that what we could do is if someone attached a Twitter account, to their discussions ID, when they deposit a can, we actually generate a tweet and for them to tweet out, and then obviously whoever shares that, maybe they earn a little bit of MPT as well. So we could do a lot
Right.
of interesting stuff. Yeah.
That's really interesting. So okay, and because there's real value in that, right? Like I deposit a can, I get 1 MPT token or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
But I get 1.1 MPT tokens if I have also set it up so that every time I do it, it tweets out.
Yeah, exactly. So that's something we could do. That could be like integrated along with the ambassador program that we're building. So
That's kind of interesting.
Right.
Right. I think that's the thing. Like the recycling is infinitely more powerful if you're really loud about it. Right. If you're just doing it yourself, it's almost pointless.
Yeah.
Right. Like one human being recycling doesn't mean anything. One human being recycling that's telling everyone about it and creating this social movement and requirement and moray and expectation. That's where you start to see the potential for the numbers that we really need, right? So get on that, will you? Just make that happen.
For sure, we're looking into it.
Working on it.
Got a lot of stuff in our backlog, so
I'll tell you, being a cheerleader for you guys is way easier than your jobs. But it's fun. It's unfair, but there you go. I'm excited that you guys are and grateful, frankly, that you guys are doing the work that you're doing, because it really does have the capacity to have a real impact.
That's the idea. That's the idea, Corey, that everybody has been talking about real products and real game changers and whatever. And blockchain, if it's used correctly, and it's an absolute good combination with a recycling machine in the problems that we're facing today, the world it really cannot be a lot better than that. At least as it works, if it works.
When it works.
Well, without all the CPU problems, congestion, and stuff like that. So in an ideal working environment, it is going to work because we have the contacts. We can place the machines tomorrow if we want in several places, but we need it to work in a stable way.
Yeah.
The last thing I want is that people start complaining about, okay, it's not happening, or I get a CPU error message or whatever.
Right.
So we have to be absolutely certain about that before we take any further steps.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And again, at least with what Discussions is launching now, it just, you have that capacity to be making sure that people are actually getting what they're supposed to be getting. All right, so Carlos, is there anything else? Like, what are you most excited about long term for your project?
Wow. Long term, of course, is a mechanism in play that would, where it would be basically known. So instead of for all these people to carry these scans around and take them where they're taking them now, that everybody knows in Venezuela, for instance, would be a very interesting starting position country because, inflation rates, etc.
Right.
what they wouldn't give to have these machines in place and being rewarded for returning empty cans, and they would help the world by doing it, and they would also be happy economically. And there's a lot more places, but like I said, well, long term, your question was long term, is a lot of these countries where basically governments also allow for this system or this formula or this ecosystem to be able to be implemented in a way that it's accepted, you know, because there are a lot of, well, let's say that the general consensus is not that we all love crypto.
Yeah.
Right. So
can confirm.
Okay. So long term, yeah, I would hope that would change and incline towards our way of thinking a little bit, and yeah, and a lot of deposit points installed in a lot of places and backed by by factories, by steel producers, it's a whole chain. So
right,
everybody is welcome to be part of it, and well, that's, yeah, hopefully we can do that in the upcoming years. That would be my ideal world. Yeah.
I like that a lot. And the Venezuela example is really, really interesting. And there are other places in the world where currencies are fluctuating wildly, right? So to have the chance to get some MPT token that, I mean, will probably be at least an order of magnitude more stable, even if it does fluctuate, which I'm sure it will, right? Could be it really could be like a game changer for those local economies, right?
To me, I would be happy if normally a crypto project would not be happy, but I would be happy if people use it and trade it for indirectly for US dollars, whatever or whatever they use to buy groceries in whatever country, you know.
Right.
I would be, even though that we have that fluctuation, people are using it, and volumes are going up, and this is what's going to create a demand in the end.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's like Bitcoin. The more active wallets is really dictating the price at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's
all right. Man, yeah, I'm stoked. And honestly, Carlos, anytime you got big news or anything that's going on, feel free to hit me up and come back on and talk about it. Even if you want to come on the like we do a morning show over here that is mostly about politics, but we do science and technology and stuff. And watching Greg's reaction, my co-host's reaction to what you're doing, it'd be great to even have you come in and tell that audience about that stuff too, because he was really excited about it, which is fun. All right, so Jacques, what do we have? Is there anything else before we let you go, Carlos? Is there anything else you want to share with us?
I'm just grateful for being here, and well, I wish Jacques, of course, all best of luck, and I congratulate the project in this step, and thanks to you, Corey, as well. And yeah, I'm heading up for my next meeting.
All right, thanks, Carlos.
Thanks, Carlos.
Thanks,
have a good one.
Have a nice evening. Bye.
All right. I'll have a nice evening in like 7 hours. Global. Anyway, I get way too excited about that stuff.
Just want a big shout out to the EOS Venezuela community. There is already a metal packaging token community in Venezuela.
Awesome.
So it's really cool because I actually helped them run a campaign. There was this thing called the trash tag. Basically, it was, you go around picking up trash in your neighborhood and you post it online.
Yeah.
So we ran a contest. And the Venezuela team was like all over it. They were cleaning up like football fields. They were cleaning
that's
up
awesome
and whatnot. So it was really, really cool seeing that that community is very active and they're very involved. So big shout out to them.
Awesome. Yeah, we actually did that with one of the Shipple missions too, where you just got to take a picture of yourself with a before and after picture of like some area just kind of out in public, and we're just kind of guessing the square footage to the amount of Shipple we gave out. So that yeah, just the idea, it comes down like all these cryptocurrency things, right? For me anyway, like it comes down to, and even US dollar, it comes down to attention and value, like the level that you are believing in any one particular product or service or idea or whatever. And maybe the real, or one of the real secret sauces to the fact that blockchain has opened this up to the rest of us, where we can create our own kind of branded currency or token or what have you, is that now we get to imbue that with whatever set of values we actually want to imbue that with, right? And that really does tie communities together in ways that is kind of novel and fascinating, right? I mean, Dogecoin, like every single conversation, everything I say, I just keep looking up like Dogecoin proves everything I just said, right? And that's like Shipple came out of that, but real projects that are doing real good in the world, before they launch a token, Shipple did it after by accident, right? And we're just the beginning. Like I really feel like we are at the Atari level of this new way of thinking, right? Even proven by the fact that like what you're talking about, being able to long or short a token based on a post, like that's like 10 years from now, that might be what everyone is doing.
That might be the algorithm to figure out information, because information is so skewed.
Or you might accidentally replace Wall Street, because that's all Wall Street is.
Yeah, I guess so. They have like terminals and
it's literally all it is. Like you just described the market, and you're removing the distance between a news article or a piece of information and the result, right? It just gets dropped to zero, because that's really all it is, right? You put your earnings report out on a telephone call, and the end result of everyone's effect in the market is what the price fluctuates at, right? Only now you'll be able to see everything, right? Like in real time. Was it a whale that knocked you down? Like that kind of thing that you can't really see. It's sort of, they do all that stuff behind the curtain in Wall Street, or anywhere else globally, really. But where you'd actually be able to see that as a company, as somebody who is buying or selling or whatever, like it
make the market a lot more transparent. That's for sure.
Right. And the feedback loop, to your point, like if you have a feature, if you have a piece of news or whatever, like it really does give that feedback loop to the people that are running the project as well, right?
Yeah, right now we just kind of going blind. Like we don't really know. Like obviously we have discussions too. We think that's the right direction to go.
Yeah.
We have people telling us, okay, well, we like this part of it, we don't like this part of it.
Right.
That's all good and fine, but like we don't really have the numbers to back it up. Okay, well, let's say tomorrow we're gonna reinstate EOS accounts. Everybody's gonna have to have an EOS account to start using Discussions again.
Right.
Put that piece of news out there. Maybe the market price actually goes up, but maybe like they think, oh well, I'm an EOS holder. If they're gonna force everyone to have an EOS account, that's a great way to go about it. Or maybe what I think is everyone's gonna be like, well, this is a piece of crap now. We can't use it. I'm gonna sell all my Atmos token. We don't believe it anymore.
Right.
So it give us hard data to back up our decisions, whereas compared to now, we just kind of, again, we're just feeling in the dark. We think this is what people like. We're not sure.
Even if you had like an upvote, downvote, there's not really any skin in the game for that, right? Do you hate this enough to sell your Atmos token? No, then shut the fuck up, right? Right? Or the opposite being true, like I'm doubling down and increasing my position because XYZ thing that I saw. Now, granted, like this is where there's no way to circumvent the fact that at least in the States they would then call that a security, right? I hate that whole thing because I think it's a really small-minded way of acting, and I can't wait until the U.S. grows out of it, even though they probably never will because of Wall Street. But you're not in the United States. Everything okay?
I'm not sure if I'm stuck or Corey's stuck or what the deal is.
I think your video is stuck. Hopefully, I'm not stuck. Yeah. Hopefully, it'll just magically start working again.
Oh,
back! Oh, you're back! Woohoo!
Yes, we had John on, I saw, and then
oh, we did?
Yeah, I think
I did not see him.
I think he's the reason why I was kind of disconnected.
Oh, weird. All right. Well,
So
hopefully that works.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna have John on next. Not sure what we're talking about.
I don't know. Doesn't matter. Boyd's coming on.
What's coming on? John's come on.
Right? No, I mean what you're describing with that is really a streamlined, socially transparent mechanism that is quite frankly better than the markets that are currently being established in Wall Street or anywhere else in the world, right? Yeah. And again, like you're designing that just because you as a company want feedback on that directly leads to real skin in the game, you know, kind of pricing the token or what have you. But that's what Wall Street was always supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right. And it becomes this thing that gets that, like, the good part of markets and the way they're supposed to be designed gets extracted out of the system that you know was built in the 1700s, where you know you had to like ride horses everywhere, and it's completely ridiculous, right? Like it's still based on that kind of philosophy where, and again, where people like JP Morgan are gatekeepers and everything else. Like all that's wrong with that, you've extracted what's good and slapped it onto a social and transparent thing that you know could make. I mean, like as a somebody who actually believes in markets, properly regulated, yada yada, blah blah blah, right? It really, like, it could be a profound change just because it's something that you guys needed. You know, you could accidentally change the entire world financially.
Oh, that would be great,
right? I mean, that, you know, what else are you gonna do on a Tuesday? I mean, that's, you know,
just changing the world.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's cool.
Okay. Next to Dogecoin.
Yeah, right. Dude, Dogecoin really
idea up with my Wall Street friends, and they were actually not big fans of it.
Because
it's traded by algorithms now. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think there's still some value, especially for like small projects like us, where there is not bots running around like analyzing sentiments and whatever. And I think it makes a lot more like, I think even if there are algorithms, creating algorithms involved, what we would do is add an extra piece of data point that might help it even
right more. So yeah. Like there does come a point where, especially for smaller projects, for like not like once you're a big project or whatever, yes, you want to call the entire thing for sentiment about the whole thing and try and get a stalled thing and try and get an edge or whatever. This is actually more about a direct relationship between the people that are investing in a project and the project itself, right? Yeah, exactly. So in the startup space, it's a feedback loop that is instantaneous and very real. You know, you know, yeah. Well, and honestly, like Wall Street people are going to hate it because it directly intercepts their power.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah.
While waiting for John, something you said I think is really interesting is like, as a startup, and I do see like cryptocurrency communities as like an iteration of startups.
Yeah.
Right. It's a lot more decentralized, you know. These things like equity sheets and whatever. I work as like a entrepreneur in New York City before. Mm-hmm. I know that world. I know what it's like, and I know that if you're someone living in a country that doesn't have that well-developed financial system, you're not gonna get any of that. It's impossible.
There's no access. Yeah,
Like, if coming from New York City, I had access to all those tools. I have access to investors. I had access to term sheets, blah blah blah, lawyers. You know, they do everything for you.
Mm-hmm.
Once I moved to Lisbon, you know, trying to look for that same ecosystem, it just doesn't exist. But the beautiful thing about blockchain is that you have these existing contracts that could act as like your term sheets, and you have investors that could invest to your project from all over the world.
Yeah.
So when I first started as an entrepreneur, I was like, screw everything New York's doing. I'm gonna go to the space where I can actually explore this possibility and build on top of it.
Right.
So that's what really got me excited.
Yep. One of the coolest things I heard in the sort of the last crypto cycle, I can't remember which. I think it was Bitfinex that was doing it. They were planning on, and I think they have since launched mirror trading, so that you know, a kid in the Philippines with 25 cents could invest in a token that would equate to 25 cents worth of Facebook, and it would automatically sort of interact or whatever, and it opens up an amount of power that you know somebody like that has never had. So Bubba has just said cryptocurrency will give the mega rich too much power. It's literally the opposite of the truth, right? It while rich people will make a lot of money doing this, that's obvious. Anytime you have more capital, you're going to have the availability to take a real advantage of that. There is nothing on the face of the earth except for cryptocurrency that will enable people in third world and second world countries to be able to access markets the way the cryptocurrency will. Nothing. It will have more of an effect on poverty than anything else in the world, period.
Not even talk about the third world, talk about the first world. Like, how many people that you know have invested in, I don't know, Tesla, Apple, Google,
right?
Whatever. They might have some do like mutual funds or index funds, but they might even heard about it. But how do you, as an average person, get that?
You can't. Well, they just started this year. Was one of the Robinhood is doing that now, right? That like came out like 18 months ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Like,
right?
Only because the companies like seeing what blockchain can do,
right?
And I think it's like it might not be directly and like the reason because of it, but like it's definitely the trend that is pushed forward by blockchain technology. Companies are becoming easier to access, and look at our economy now. The stock market's at an all-time high in the history of the U.S. But how much of that wealth is shared by the average person? Very
almost
little.
None. Like every time he says the economy is doing great, right now, 50% of the population of the United States can't handle a $500 bill without going broke. Yeah, exactly. That's not a good economy, right? Like literally everyone is right on the bubble, and everyone's like, no, the stock market's doing really great. The stock market's doing great because of a $2 trillion tax cut that has literally mostly gone to stock buybacks, which should be illegal in the first place, right? Companies literally taking taxes back and buying their own stock with it to ram up the price, right? Like it's the market right now is a good 30% hot air, right? Like you want to talk bubbles, like right now, never mind the derivatives market, which is again completely and totally bananas, right? Like Wall Street's bananas, and it really is only benefiting a very, very small number of people globally. Doesn't even have to just do with Wall Street, right? And so, the idea that you can democratize this and allow other people to have access to it at the level of a penny, right, can start to I mean, that really the reason why rich people are rich is because they've had the idea of and the use of capital to start accruing wealth, and it just wasn't available for normal people, right? And we're starting to see it a little bit in the United States, and now because of what you guys are doing in metal packaging, token, and everything else, it's actually going to be able to go to the rest of the world.
Yeah, fun fact: you can't invest into a company, like not through an index or whatever, unless you have $10 million sitting in your bank account.
Yep. Yeah. So, well, even if you want to get in on like round A startups, you have to have $250,000 or they're not allowed to talk to you.
Exactly. Like what?
That's right. Like yeah. I mean, this is the thing. Like, please understand this. Yeah. Bubba is having some comments. It's just completely wrong. Mm-hmm. The system that we have now is designed holistically for the rich to maintain control of power and money. And Bitcoin scares the shit out of them. And they're the ones publishing all the news articles about the fact that Bitcoin is just for bad guys, right? It scares the shit out of them because suddenly it democratized it so that plebs can fucking do this shit themselves anywhere they want on the earth, whenever they want. We can collaborate amongst each other, and there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. Now, about the bad guys comment, I don't know if you know this, but Russia hacked our election in 2016, right? And everyone who says the Mueller report is a hoax, you haven't fucking read the Mueller report. I, incidentally, have read it. They indicted 12 Russians specifically because they managed to hack their way back to the office of the computer they were using. And the only reason why they could do that is because they used Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is not anonymous. Let me repeat that to anyone in the room who doesn't get this yet. If you're still going on the dark web and buying freaking hand grenades with Bitcoin, you're fucking stupid. They will track that forever because the blockchain is immutable and never goes away. If you ever do a transaction that is connected to any IP address, they go right back to your office in Moscow and go, hey, you guys are indicted. Now, granted, like, they're not going to get extracted, but still, Bitcoin's how they got caught.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, I agree. Yeah, like, I think you're right. Bitcoin is not anonymous. Like, I think there's a lot of fear mongering among like the I don't want to say call elites. Like there are reasons for the way that security laws exist, and I can understand from that perspective as someone who has worked from that background and
right.
work with people from that background. But it's to the point where you're right. Like they start just using what was a mechanism in place to protect people. Now they're using it to keep people out.
Right.
Like, right. It's like same thing. Like, okay, we don't want you smoking weed for your own good. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
we know what's good for you.
Right.
You have, whatever, you just want to relax up. No, we know what's better. We like, just leave it up to us. We could take care of you. So that's that mentality. And yeah, New York is the worst offender because, fun fact again, in New York, in order to operate any kind of cryptocurrency related, entity, you have to get what's called bit license. And guess who wrote that bit license?
Who wrote the bit license?
Coinbase. The guy.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I knew it was going to be something like that. That is funny.
And guess which one of the three entities, only three, has a bit license? Coinbase.
Well, Coinbase, right?
Yeah, so like they wrote the law to prevent competition, essentially.
Wow.
But they
That's
did
yeah.
That's
That's like
protecting you.
the way this is going to progress in the next 20 years. Write this down and come back and tell me whether I was right or wrong. Right? I think the U.S. is going to be in deep shit because they're going to be too far behind the curve.
Yeah.
Right? When you have markets opening up, so like Bubbles and I were talking about Starlink, right? Pretty soon, anybody with a phone or a box nearby or whatever, like you're going to be able to access Elon Musk's new global internet, right?
Starlink, yeah.
Right, which is going to be stellar, pun intended. In retrospect, it's not what I meant, but it was like, there it is. So anybody with a phone is going to have access to that. John, what's up, man?
Hey guys.
That is a killer poster. And obviously it's going to democratize that and have that all over the place. Okay, so we got John here from Boyd. I'm going to try not to fangirl out. I'm going to fail. I have been on Boyd for a while. I've been bragging about it for quite a because I think it's awesome. But John, could you maybe run us through what you're doing with your project and kind of where it's at right now?
Sure. So that's a big question there.
Right. Sorry.
Maybe Boyd is we call it the social supercomputer because it makes it easy for anyone to kind of contribute their excess computing resources towards volunteer science projects and cryptocurrency projects, things like that. We use social gamification to engage individuals. So we have teams and prizes and competitions and leaderboards and things like that. So the whole idea here is to make all this complex technology more accessible for a general audience and, using kind of the social gamification aspects of it. And we have staking with our token. So you can stake your token to improve profitability and kind of unlock new features. And we're working on like a on-chain governance system where you can use the token to vote to control the future of the platform, things like that.
So I've got a bunch staked. Like I did that right off the bat when I saw it. It's basically my computer is running Boyd all night long, while I'm sleeping, and it's crunching cancer marker data, which is always makes me feel really good. And the staking basically just gives me an extra percentage. Like this was months ago when I first started, so that was all. What new features are offered from having staking, and what are the levels there?
Right now, it's mostly just to improve your profitability when you're running the app. So you receive kind of like a base level payout depending upon whatever your Boyd power is.
Yeah.
And you receive like a bonus based on how much you're staking on top of that. And when you stake, it's like at least like double whatever you're normally earning just from power. So you're definitely missing out if you're not, staking coins in the system.
Yeah. Well, the second that it became available, because I'm, especially with projects like this, with any cryptocurrency, really, if you're going to buy it, unless you're like an active day trader, my whole feeling is, am I, long this project for 3 to 5 years, right? And so I'm not going to touch it. Whatever I acquire, like there's hard and fast trade rules for me because I am investing in projects, not in what the price happens to be 5 minutes from now, right?
Yeah.
And so staking just means like, well, yeah, I'm not going to touch it anyway. Like
Right.
it really sort of encourages and gives real incentives to that capacity, so that people can actually do it. So and again, like if you don't know, you can go to I think it's what's the website for that, John?
It's just Boyd.com,
Right.
BOID.
Right. Boyd.com. You download a little app for your Windows machine, or you guys work on Apples and stuff too, Macs, right?
Yeah, we have Mac and Linux and Windows support.
Beautiful. Okay. And it just has an app that you can set to run all the time or run only when you're not doing anything else, right? So it acts kind of like a screensaver, and it's using your CPU to crunch cancer marker data, so it's actually for a good cause. And the amount that it actually runs, you get Boyd token automatically thrown into your EOS account automatically. It's super fancy. And of course, when we talk about staking, for those, because there's a lot of people that watch my channel that are sort of crypto noobs, like me, frankly. So staking means that you're basically locking your token up through an app that you can use on Boyd.com, and it just basically sits on there as long as you have it staked, and you can have it. You can get it out whenever you want to. Is it like the normal kind of 3-day waiting period?
Actually, right now there's no delay, so you can unstake immediately.
Okay, so yeah, like there's literally no reason why you wouldn't do it, right? Like you stake whatever you've earned, or in my case, I bought a couple $100 worth of Boyd token right off the bat. So you stake whatever you have brought in, and it increases the amount that you earn by your CPU crunching all that data. Did I basically get all that right, John?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of currencies, or a lot of cryptocurrencies, they try to act like they're a currency, but I really feel like 90% of them are more like ownership in the network.
Yeah.
And you don't actually, like, if you believe in a project, like if I told you could buy some merchandise with your Boyd tokens, you'd be like, I'd rather just buy it with fiat, because I think fiat's, the price isn't going to go up with fiat or whatever, right?
Right.
If you believe in long term in something, you don't want to spend it on things you don't have to spend it with. So and I really like EOS, where like you don't have to spend. It's like, I want to use the EOS network. I don't want to spend my EOS. I want to hold on to it, because I'm using it.
Right.
So the idea that you can stake it, and that is how you pay for transactions or whatever, I thought that was very interesting. So we're kind of inspired by that.
Yeah, I like it. Jacques, you want to add anything? You want to break in here?
Yeah, no, I mean, I just want to talk a little bit, why we love working with Boyd, because again, all of our partners, I think a common theme that hopefully comes through is that we want to make it more accessible for people, right? So obviously we'll have Boyd on board, like they're going to be supporting and growing the community on our platform, but we're going to be supporting their community as well. And one of the things we're looking to do is, provide the ambassador program. And we're still working out some details with how that works, but hopefully you see a lot of Boyd on discussions, and obviously John will be on there, answer questions. Hopefully we can arrange another AMA. I know we did one for Discussions 1, but with a new audience, I'm sure they have new questions for you, John. So
I can even see, so you can do the social aspect of Boyd. I actually talk about that behind the scenes all the time, because I think it's a really important part of like the gamification of it is a really, really interesting part of what you guys have done. So could you speak to a little bit to the gamification of like the teams and tribes that you have working with Boyd?
So it was inspired by the kind of existing volunteer science projects. You might be familiar with like World Community Grid or Folding at Home or Study at Home. These are kind of long running, 20 years plus sometimes, science projects that anyone can contribute to and volunteer their resources towards. And you would think like, oh, it's like very niche, and it is to an extent, but I mean, the amount of computing power contributed to these networks is massive. It's like, it's competitive with like the top 10 supercomputers in the world.
Whoa.
So and no one, and people just do it for free, right? People just give all these resources away. I mean, like, no one mines cryptocurrency for free. No one does it like out of the good, no one, turns on their miner out of the goodness of their heart, right? So there's obviously there's some massive kind of philosophical difference between these communities that I always thought was interesting. And I was like, how do we kind of combine the best of both worlds? How do we bring these two ideologies in one place?
Right.
And the gamification is basically a result of me studying, you know, what motivates these kind of volunteer contributors. And so the probably the largest two motivators would be just kind of the feel good, like this is cool, and I'm contributing to something big that I believe in. Like that's a big part of it that attracts people. But actually, what keeps people over the long term is they have like teams and these challenges and competitions built into the platforms. And but the social implementation that they have is very basic. It was built like pre-Facebook, you know, and it was built by a bunch of computer scientists and researchers. It wasn't highly adapted, you know, and iterated on the way that social platforms are today, right?
Right.
So I just saw just a massive gap in what it could be in terms of kind of the social gamification element. So that's why I focused on that.
Yeah, and it looks great. So is there any plan, like, as you know, that we're getting, I created the Schipul like joke token a while ago, and obviously with the CPU thing we just got hammered. Like there's nothing going on there anymore. The community is still sitting there. We're planning on doing some things in the future, right? So one of the things we toyed around with doing is creating a you know, a tribe or a team for Boyd. Is there any way that I could use my token as a reward token within you know, with like having a Boyd channel or tribe or whatever it is, but I feel like I could use Discussions.app to basically manage the social aspect behind the scenes, as well as, or like, have you guys updated things? Like what would be the best way for me to basically use both of your guys' platforms to get the most benefit for my community?
So when you have a team on Boyd, you can set prizes for, you know, people on your team, and those prizes can be like any token or NFT. You can even have like physical prizes, and that's all built into the system.
Oh, nice.
And each one of these prizes like has its own little leaderboard based on some kind of custom metrics that whatever you decide on.
Okay.
So that's built in. So what happens is a lot of times they'll announce what the prizes are. They'll do like a short blog post and they'll publish that on as many social channels as they can. So you could use Discussions to kind of help spread the word about, you know, those promotions on your Boyd team.
Right. But it would just automatically happen within the Boyd app itself.
Yeah. Well, in terms of distribution and displaying, you know, how everything works, that's
right.
all that stuff is automated. But
okay. Wow.
Promotion, you got to handle yourself.
Okay. Well, yeah. And I mean, bragging about Boyd is easy and fun.
Exactly. Really that's the point.
Yeah,
is that you should be excited to tell people about Boyd, whereas like, you know, no one's excited to talk about IDOS mining or something.
Right. Yeah, that's lame. Also, how does one get a poster like that behind you?
I can send you the source art.
Okay. Yeah, I think that'd be fun. Yeah, man, John, thank you for coming on. Is there like what's your game plan sort of mid-range, like 2-3 years down the road? Like as far as what's coming up next on your guys' roadmap for where you want to take this thing?
That's a very hard question because I have a hard time thinking ahead more than 1 or 2 years because things change so much.
Right.
And the way that I work is like very iterative. I'm just like, maybe, you know, I'll build something and then I'll see how the community reacts to it, and that'll define, you know, what I build next.
Right.
Like but I think like ideally, you know, right now we connect with like IBM World Community Grid to, you know, contribute these like science projects. We would like to kind of have our own in-house science projects and things like that we operate, and do something really interesting with machine learning, right? You can imagine, like, for example, like community training different AI bots, like for video games or something, or to solve, you know, some kinds of important problems, and
yeah,
like compete by trying to train like the most useful AI to solve some task and get rewarded, you know, based on the results. So that's one thing that I'd like to build on top of Boyd in the future. And also we're exploring kind of using Boyd as an infrastructure provider. So you know, a lot of blockchains, they have like validator nodes and history nodes, and there's all this kind of infrastructure that happen behind the scenes to power everything. So the idea that Boyd could be a provider of those resources, a business model, for example, that all the contributors to the network actually contribute to running, you know, this software.
Like a decentralized AWS.
The problem, so that's kind of like what Golem is, for example, like where it's like it's just a computing marketplace. Golem is like a distributed science project on Ethereum.
Okay.
The problem is that no one wants to just run regular applications on a distributed network like that, because there's all kinds of security implications with doing that.
Right. Okay.
So like AWS, they built, or Golem, they basically built like an AWS competitor, but like no one wants to use it. You know, the market is basically non-existent. You know,
right?
so,
yeah, I didn't even consider the fact that there would be a security issues with that, because I am not a dev and I have no clue what's going on. Yeah, I'm a fanboy, not a dev. So BubbleViz just asked a question. Could you maybe write that out, because I'm not really sure what that stands for. It's basically yeah, sorry buddy, maybe reword that a little bit more specifically, and I'll ask it. So how, like, when you guys started, like, has there been a flux? Like, are you tracking trend lines as far as how much computing power is actually on the system?
Yeah, we have some metrics at stats.boyd.com, but you know, we have some database issues, so some of the data is not 100% up to date. But if you pull up stats.boyd.com, you can see all kinds of interesting numbers.
Fine, I will.
For example, like we do 23,000 jobs per day. So
wow,
the World Community Grid.
Oh man, Boyd team power market share. That's fun.
Yeah.
Oh man, PS is crushing.
Yeah.
All right. Man, this is some fantastically. I'm gonna be sharing this out. This is some really, really good. Actually, you know what? Fucking, I'll share it right now. Yeah, you go to stats.boyd.com. So yeah, and you guys run in seasons. Could you we'll talk about that a little bit. So the global Boyd power is at 1.3 odd million. What does that mean?
Basically, like, Boyd power is our internal metric for how much computing resources you're contributing. So it's kind of like, you don't really know what it means. It's more like relative, I guess. A standard computer generates maybe like 3,000 Boyd power or something like that. So it gives you a bit of an indication of like how many devices are online, how active the network is over time.
Right.
That drop off is because I broke the database for a day or two. So
okay, fair enough.
There's a nice wedge right there in the middle.
Right.
It happens.
We're yeah, there you go. That's the thing. And you know, when you talk about being you know, iterative, you know, it's gonna be a thing that happens every once in a while.
Yeah. And also we're going through all kinds of growing pains, because we're trying to move to like an on chain, like fully on chain, using smart contracts and everything.
Okay.
So we're kind of stuck in between like this traditional centralized database, which we're trying to get away from, and having everything on chain.
All right. Yeah, that I mean, I've been excited about Boyd for a long time. And I mean, I'm going to be chopping all of our interviews out, Jock, and sharing them out independently. I'm be super excited to share this with people, just because it's proof. And really, everybody we've talked to today, these ideas are proof of concept about what this sort of democratized, decentralized new world that we're living in, because of, you know, blockchain and what you guys are building on it, is allowing us to explore like all new novel ways of collaboration, where, you know, you actually get real returns back in, whether it's Boyd token or Atmos token or whatever it is. Yeah, I just think it's freaking fancy as hell. For sure. Well, John, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything that you want to share with our audience about, like, the thing you're most excited about, coming up, or I mean, obviously everybody can go to Boyd.com. There's literally no reason why you wouldn't just go get the app and have it running so that you can start accruing some Boyd token that you can go stake. If you have any questions, direct mail me or contact us on YouTube or whatever. I'll walk you through the whole thing just because it's fun. I've done it. But yeah, is there anything else that you'd love to leave our audience with?
Yeah, I mean, now's a good time to join and get your machines hooked up, because the Boyd, we have like seasons, and each season has like different prizes and competitions associated with it.
Right.
And the next season, we haven't announced when the next season is going to launch, but it'll probably be sometime next month is when it's going to start. So if you go ahead and get a head start today, then you'll be in a good position to join a team that hands out prizes, for the next season, season 4. So that's a reason to join today. And also, we're working on the kind of on-chain governance system, so you can vote with your Boyd tokens, and that should be available, pretty soon for people to try out as well.
All right.
And, we're exploring some kind of integration with the Discussions account system. So that'll make it easier for people to join and participate, even if they don't own an EOS account yet.
Yeah, that's going to be a really, really awesome hack. That was actually a friction point, talking to people about Boyd. That definitely do that, because I can think of like 5 or 6 people that would be like automatically on Boyd right now, just from conversations that I've had based on that, because they don't get it, right? Like that once they do, it's fine, but like having the capacity to just get them on board and have their computer run overnight, and then a couple of days later they got some Boyd token, they're like, wait a minute, what is this? So I'm glad you guys are doing that. I think that's gonna be awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to it.
And great to meet you, John. I seriously, I've been bragging about to anyone who would listen to me about Boyd for quite a while. So it's good to be able to chat with you.
Awesome. Appreciate your support, Corey.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one.
See you guys.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, like solving that friction issue for them is going to be huge. I mean, having that as an alternative for them is going to be a really big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a problem for any project in the space at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you're using Boyd, you probably know your way around a computer. However, that's still there's still that issue of, if you don't have an EOS account, how do you get an EOS account, right?
Right. Well, that's like their app is it's really easy to use. Like it's just plug and play, blah blah blah. Now it's running, right? Yeah. And you plug your what's that?
I say that's not the hard part.
No, and you'll get a Boyd token in your Boyd account, right? Like, because it'll show out on the website. But then you got to figure out how to get an EOS account. And I would get in Schipul, I would get a million questions a day about how the hell do you get an EOS account, and we were making them through the Lynx wallet. It was like $2 or whatever, which was like the cheapest you could get it basically anywhere. But it was still that level of friction. And then people had to download the wallet again. Like, Lynx made it relatively easy, but like it was that much more friction. Whereas you guys, they could sign up to that like they would sign up anywhere else, and you don't have to pay for anything, and whatever until down the road when it becomes a thing. It lets people get their feet wet and start realizing what's going on with as little friction as humanly possible. So that's exciting. That's going to be good. Yeah. All right. So Discussions.app launched out of beta.
Yes, go check it out.
Very wow. Much awesome.
Yes, indeed. You know what? Why don't we run a meme contest? Let's throw up like, I don't know, 20,000 at most. Let's run some meme contests for the launch.
All right, I like it. Let's do it. I'll hop into the Schipul community and see what we get.
Yeah, exactly. And if you, again, because the way our system works, if you tweet out a meme, and I would love you guys to do it, you tweet out a meme and you post that tweet, the link to the tweet, it'll show up perfectly on Discussions. I'm more than happy to tip you some ammos as the contest goes on. So not only are you getting just to participate in it, you're going to also get when someone eventually wins the prize. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Kick ass. All right. Yeah. We'll work out the details and post links or whatever. If you're not in Shibboleth Basecamp, get on there. We'll do the whole thing on Twitter as well. And of course, we will be doing that on discussions as well. We should probably like start, because I think there's so many more projects going on than Shipple now. Like, would it make sense to start a hashtag coffee thing?
Oh,
like a channel for all the media or whatever, because again, like we might have to talk about that. I think we might have to do that.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Just to have a place for people to start collecting from all the various freaking nonsensical, insane things that I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
All right. I like it. Yeah, meme competitions can be good.
We're gonna be doing airdrops. We're gonna be doing AMAs. So we're gonna try to get generate as much attention. Try to really build our community. We have to help us tokens. We have your help, Corey.
Hell yeah.
We appreciate it. So we want this to become like a vibrant platform. There's be tokens and tips flowing everywhere. Maybe in the future you can even start a community with tokens, built in. We're looking into doing that. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot.
That's
of fun.
it. Like, tokenized community as service.
Imagine you just start a hashtag and you just right away like, do you want to have a token associated with this?
Yeah, it costs $50 to make the token, whatever. So charge $100, right?
Yeah.
And like, ask me if I would have paid $100 to get the Shipple token made. Fuck yeah, I would, right? Like instantaneously, I would have done it. Yep. Yeah, do that. Get on that, because I think with considering the fact that you're a platform for tokenized communities, and again, like I'm excited for you guys to launch on Links. I'm excited for you guys to launch on Telos again, because you want to be diversified on these chains, because you never know when you're going to have a dramatic fail like the CPU problem that's going on in EOS right now. But yeah, I think I think we see this the same way. I think I see it the way you do, where any community, whether it's around this show or around a podcast or around a project that you're building or around a company or around a new sort of token, and everything in between. Right. The fact that we started a church in Minecraft that is hosted on this channel or whatever. Right. Like, I want to start tithing people 10% of their income. I'm just kidding. Mostly kidding. Right. Because it's a joke. The whole thing is sort of, weird church of region, whatever. But like, I actually do want to start tithing people, but just whatever, they want to donate. Right.
But part of reality is, if you're running any kind of organization or whatever, even like charities, you have to pay staffs. You just have resources to keep it running. And I think tokens is a great way, because, depending on how valuable it is, you could grow your organization very big, or you could just run it very lean. So,
right.
It's
right.
A wide spectrum you could go.
Yeah. It's a brave new world. It's a brave new world. Jacques, thanks for letting me do this with you, man. I'm excited to have been there at the thing where it happened.
And keep giving us feedback, because we're gonna steal all your good ideas and build it into the platform. So
awesome, cool. Yeah, all my ideas belong to you.
Okay, perfect.
And again, keep an eye out for the details on the Discussions app meme competition that we're gonna be doing. I've got 20,000 Atmos on the line, which is awesome. And of course, every time you do a meme, you're gonna want to post it onto the actual platform itself, because you might get tipped for it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Anything else you want to add before we close it out?
No, that's it. Go check out Discussions, sign up for account, make a post, and be ready to get some tips. That's all.
All right. Game on.
Let's go.